Well, hello there, motherfuckers. Haircut, motherfuckers. Yeah. Anyway, um, Ryback, Ryback is now in negotiations. It looks like they're not going to reach a deal for a new contract with Ryback. How do I feel about this? Now, I have insulted Ryback. I've criticized Ryback, but the truth is, I might not like Ryback for the way WWE presents him because I've said this a number of times. Just because I say things against Sami Zayn, I might say things against Kalisto. I always say that those guys are talented. They've got a lot of potential. I look at a guy like Ryback and the guy's pretty athletic. I've seen the guy do a corkscrew plancha, for God's sakes. Not only that, but the guy seems like he's got a good sense of humor. The last match that he wrestled, the pre-show with Kalisto, was a good match, but the guy was wearing a belt that says pre-show stealer. This was something that wasn't authorized by WWE. He just went out there at the last minute wearing. It shows that the guy's got a sense of humor, and we've seen things throughout, Ryback's career. I've seen things on Twitter. The guy is like, he's a crazy man. He's definitely out there. I don't know if it's the roids or something. It might be, but whatever it is, I just want to say Ryback, he has potential. To say that Ryback sucks would be stretching it. Does Ryback suck in the way that he's being presented in WWE? Yeah, I think so. But the thing is, I don't think that the guy totally sucks. Like I said, I think the guy's got a lot of potential. They just got to know how to use him. I mean, they made the guy look like a fucking goofball. I mean, in 2012, if they never started the feed me more bullshit, Ryback could have been a badass, I think maybe a heel. This guy was imposing. Even like they made him too much of a goody two shoes face. Whatever it is, Ryback needed to be a badass. And it looks like Ryback could, if they would let him, go a little bit unchained on the mic, could be entertaining. There's a lot of different possibilities. The guy is obviously athletic. He's open to doing different moves in the ring. We saw some impressive moves. In recent months from him. Like I mentioned, the corkscrew plancha, the guy. The cool gorilla press slam from the second rope with Kalisto, which, by the way, should have fucking ended the match. I mean, this guy's like pressing him above his, he's like fucking 8, 9 feet in the fucking air. His arms fully extended, comes crashing down, face first. His whole entire body hits. Ryback is willing to change. Everybody likes to criticize, the big guys. He's the big guy, they like to call him, but we always criticize the muscle men for not being very adaptable in the ring. They don't like to do a whole lot. They're usually slow and everything. But the thing is, Ryback is pretty agile. And the guy is changing his move setup. I'm not sure if, this is something Vince has told him to do or, other people in creative. I don't know who's telling him to do this, or it's his own decision. But the thing is, the guy is able to change. This is a lot different than Lex Luger, for example. Luger did the same moves. He literally had like only 2, 3 moves. He had like a bear hug, a clothesline, and not much else to offer. This guy's flying over the fucking top rope like motherfucking Kalisto. The scary thing is Ryback has done some of the moves that Kalisto and Rey Mysterio and Sin Cara have done. There's potential here. We've seen signs of, I don't want to say brilliance, but potential. We've seen signs of potential from Ryback, and they have fucking dropped the ball. I mean, the thing is, you look at a guy like Ryback, and the man's imposing. He's probably got one of the most impressive physiques we've ever seen. And you know what I fucking hate about, nowadays with a lot of wrestling fans here in the YWC? Oh, steroids! Oh, you're just like big oiled up muscle men. I'm fucking sick of that shit. Wrestling, the guys should be in shape. I like Kevin Owens, but let's be fucking honest. The guy's a fucking fat bastard. Let's be perfectly honest. Only once in a while did you see a guy that, was fat, but he wasn't really out of shape. For example, Vader, the guy wasn't exactly put a bodybuilder, he was a power lifter, but the guy was fucking strong. He was powerful. He was like a fucking brick wall. The thing is, whatever happened, speaking of these guys, to these imposing figures, you look at a guy like, I wasn't a big fan, but Viscera. You look at a guy like Vader, and then you look at a guy like Ryback, and Ryback kind of looks like the old school. And some people whine they don't want the old school and everything, and that's fine. If you're looking for the high flyers and that's all you want. That's why they got Ring of Honor. And hey, I've gone to many Ring of Honor shows. I haven't been to one since 2012, I believe. Think that's right. But the thing is, this is WWE. I've mentioned this before. This is a very, very different landscape than indie wrestling. They do this in NXT, and sadly, they're doing it on Raw now. And we're seeing the effects with the 2.2s over there. We're seeing the effect of what's going on here, trying to turn this into an indie show. Because now they're flooding these guys, and like I said, you got guys like Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn. These guys don't exactly look like wrestlers. They don't look like your traditional wrestler. And I know the argument that a lot of people are going to use. So this is the thing why I'm sorry, but a lot of you can't beat me, because I know what you're going to say even before you say it, because I've even been guilty of this in the past. I remember when I was younger, I was like, oh, why can't Paul London be at the top of the card? And then I fucking realized that that's because Paul London is only a little bit taller than me, motherfuckers. And the guy is, not even fucking 200 pounds. And he doesn't have a personality, or a personality that was at least explored yet. So the thing is, yes, I remember the days when I used to think that these guys would be worthy world champions. I used to think to myself, why aren't these guys getting the pushes that they deserve? And that's because, well, there were many other guys that were more talented at the top of the card. That's why, or not even more talented per se. Paul London was 10 times more athletic than Batista, but the thing is, you looked at Batista and the guy was really imposing. Also, a lot of people like to give me a hard time. I know this is about Ryback, but I gotta get a couple of more things off my chest. It does relate to Ryback and the way people perceive wrestlers like Ryback, so it is related, so bear with me. A guy like Paul London wasn't getting a lot of cheers. He was getting somewhat of a reaction, when he was a tag champion. But, a lot of people like to give me a hard time about Daniel Bryan. Here's the thing. Daniel Bryan actually had a physique. Compare him to Brian Kendrick, Paul London, Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, all these guys. Take a look at a picture of Daniel Bryan before he retired, when he was in the ring. Take a look at how he looked when he was in the Indies, when he was ROH champion. I loved Daniel Bryan on the mic as a heel, and I loved how he had like a year-long reign as ROH champion. And I've mentioned this time and time again. There was a time when I was really into ROH, and I was, going to a lot of shows, and I was buying a lot of the DVDs, and there's like, I still remember one of my favorite matches being Daniel Bryan versus Lance Storm. It was, anyway, Daniel Bryan bulked the fuck up. He realized that he was headed to the big time, and that guy put on like a good fucking, I'd say, maybe 20 pounds, 15 to 20 pounds. I mean, the guy made an effort to get bigger. And the thing is, we're also talking about a guy that was way more popular. Sami Zayn and all these other, guys, they don't get the cheers that, Daniel Bryan was making the whole entire arena, no matter what arena he was in. The last WrestleMania he was at, 31, the whole entire crowd was on their feet chanting yes when he won the Intercontinental title. WrestleMania 30, everybody was going fucking nuts. So that was a rare case. So everybody's like, oh, Brad, you always talk about how guys don't look like wrestlers. Well, what about Daniel Bryan? You're a hypocrite. Well, that's because I have explained myself 1,000 fucking times. And I'm sick of explaining myself. Take a look at the fucking footage. It only happened about a year or two ago. You'd see the whole fucking audience cheering for him. So that's a different fucking story. Daniel Bryan is a different goose egg, that to use the old expression. It's completely different. It's a different ball of wax, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, Ryback has potential and WWE has failed. This is the thing. McMahon is supposed to love guys like Ryback. And, I understand McMahon's mentality about why he likes the pumped up guys because, they're more marketable. People see a guy like Ryback and, you see there's people that chant feed me more. And I think that's a fucking goofball chant, you know, I've done so many rants on Ryback. So many rants on how they've handled his character, how terrible they made the guy look in 2012, losing the fucking chance, feed me more. It sounds stupid, and quite frankly, feed me more doesn't make any sense unless the guy's got a motherfucking Hannibal Lecter fucking gimmick. That's the only reason why anybody should be chanting feed me more. I mean, should he have a fucking knife and fork? Maybe a bib? Maybe a fucking napkin tied around his fucking neck or some shit like that? At this point, I wouldn't blame Ryback if he tied a fucking noose around it. But, I mean, come on. I'm saying you see the guy's got potential. I'm saying, look at these guys. They always tell everybody, social media. Look at the guy. He's entertaining. He's funny what he writes on Twitter. The same thing with a guy like Zack Ryder. The guy has a whole fucking YouTube show. He's putting together his own entertaining skits. Skits that were 10 times better than anything WWE was coming up with. So what do? They stole Zack's show from him. This is what I'm saying. It's fucking insane. They don't see the entertainment that's available right in front of their faces. They don't even need to write most of it. Talk to the talents. They're more talented than the creative team. More talented than Vince. More talented than Stephanie. More talented than Triple H. More talented than anybody on the fucking creative team. Anybody in the whole fucking WWE. Just talk to the talents. This is what kills me. We could be having a new era of wrestling. A true new era of wrestling. Not the fake fucking bullshit we're seeing now. No, we could actually be getting a real fucking era. An era that actually, changes things and actually might, provide us with some decent material, ratings and content and matches. And promos and storylines. Oh, yeah. Remember storylines? Remember those? Yeah. We could be getting all that if maybe they let these talents break loose and come out of their shell and let them fucking do something. Let the guys do something for a change. Let them, be themselves. because a lot of them are really interesting. They're like, you and I, they've got interest. They like to share what they got. First of all, they started off with New Day, and New Day is just now it's become about selling fucking shirts inside cereal boxes and stuff. They fucked up New Day royally. They were starting to become a pretty revolutionary act. Well, revolutionary for the time, we'll say. But, they just fucked it up completely. Strapping fucking dildos on their foreheads was not the way to go. I mean, and the same thing goes for a guy like Wade Barrett. I've talked about this so many times. The guy had a gimmick that wasn't even done before. He had like this truth negativity gimmick. He was telling people how it was. He was insulting people. It was fucking badass. What happened? That people were cheering him. Oh, you can't cheer the heel. The thing is, you put a guy out there that's being entertaining and funny. What the fuck do you expect is going to happen? Of course, people are going to react to it positively. When you don't have any characters or anything entertaining, anything that's even mildly entertaining is going to seem amazing to everybody. And yeah, I actually think the Bad News Barrett gimmick, now fucking Barrett is gone. He's left the WWE. And the thing is, this guy from 2013 to 2014, this guy could have been on his way up. He could have been in the upper mid card. You look at where Barrett was at that time compared to the fucking League of Nations. For fuck's sake, it was like fucking night and day. The guy won the IC championship. He was on fire. He got injured. They bring him back, and well, he don't have the gimmick anymore. They're calling them Bad News, but what do they do instead? Turn him into a king, because that hasn't been done before with Booker T. And how annoying was it when Booker T was King Booker? I was looking back. I believe it was like when they did the King of the Ring special one time. And they were not the one where they crowned him the king, but it was like on Netflix, and they had a Blu-ray of it. The best of the King of the Ring, and they talked about how Booker T reinvented himself. Like they were finally looking back on it. It was fucking abominable. By the way, I have a review of that. I think I only reviewed the matches, though, from like 2012 back when I watched it. Anyway, yeah, so basically what I'm getting at here is I'm just naming a couple of examples of how some guys have had massive, huge, or even just some moderate potential, and they fucked up by not capitalizing on these opportunities. They've had so many opportunities throughout history to do different things, and they never did it. Before, like, it really. Let's also like make some examples too. Matches they could have done. Hogan and Austin didn't do it. They could have done The Rock versus Shawn Michaels. Didn't do it. All this potential for storylines and shit like that. But now we're not talking about those guys. We're talking about the new guys. And like I said, it's so easy. You have these guys have their own creative minds. They're not being used. And if you notice on social media, some of the most creative guys are the ones not being used. Sandow, Ryder, these guys are jobbers. The thing is, these guys look like they could actually be potential main eventers or upper mid-card talent based on the shit that they're saying on social media. We've seen it. The thing is, it's like, take a look at a guy also. Good example, Damian Sandow. The way the guy was fucking bumping like crazy for Miz. He was being funny. It might have got ridiculous after a while, but the guy was showing how much fire and potential that he had. He'd already been showing it with his like savior of the masses gimmick, but he started bumping. The guy showed how much he wanted to be there. He was willing to do anything, even doing a gimmick like that might have been ridiculous. In retrospect, looking back on it, it just showed that Sandow had personality. Sandow was willing to do anything just to get over with the audience, just to impress somebody at WWE. Those are the guys that deserve it. When we talk about guys that deserve it, it's not because this guy spent this amount of time in the indies, this guy had a 5-star match in Ring of Honor. It's about drive and who wants it the most and who's willing to be the most entertaining. Who the fuck wants to see 1,000 fucking matches that all look the same with 1,000 suicide dives in them? I mean, this is what I'm saying. Potential guys that are willing to entertain badasses. You watch somebody and it's like, I'm sorry, but I'm having a hard time getting excited. Sami Zayn is an off. What the fuck was that? An awesome athlete. Some weird lisp just overcame my tongue, which sounds weird. But Sami Zayn is an amazing athlete. Just the fact that that guy just dives through the ropes and does that tornado DDT. It's just something I've never seen before, and I don't think anybody else has ever done it. But you look at Sami Zayn, and it's like, my dad's watching wrestling, and he's like, the guy looks like Seth Rogen, and he's like, and the guy doesn't even look like a wrestler. He's got like no muscular definition. He has no chest. No abs, no fucking nothing. I mean, come on. This is what I'm saying. You look at these guys and they look like fucking bums on the street. I think I've seen half these guys waiting for the train in the fucking subway. For God's sakes, I've seen some of them at the fucking bus stop. Holy fucking shit, they look like average, normal guys. And that's probably the most hilarious thing, and I've shared it here months ago. Watching it with my dad, as I said, the old school. And people gave me some feedback too about their dads and uncles and older brothers watching wrestling with them and having the same reaction. Seeing a guy like Dean Ambrose, you look at Dean Ambrose, and my dad says he just looks like a plain average guy, and it's true. Does Dean Ambrose look like somebody that's gonna fucking take over the world? And the thing is, I look at Dean Ambrose when he was in the Shield. He was actually like muscular. Then they had him like fucking toned down to averageness when he got it like into the singles role. I don't understand that. Um, yeah, I don't get it, motherfuckers. But Dean Ambrose is a guy that's shown a lot of personality. As I said, they've completely fucked up his lunatic fringe gimmick, not even capitalizing on some of the psychological aspects that they could be doing with the character. But instead, he just comes off as a little bit of a weird, average looking guy with messy hair. Yeah. So anyway, Ryback. I hope that they can figure something out with him. I don't know where else this guy's gonna go. It's not like I don't think TNA can even afford to get new talent that like Ryback. He's probably gonna ask for too much money. I don't know, motherfuckers. But anyway, a lot of wasted potential right there. All right.